Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back with you on this beautiful Saturday evening. 41 minutes are past the hour of 11 p.m. that I do come to you live ahead of that kickoff between Norway and England, for which we will be doing the watch along. Hopefully, everything does work out in our favor, because for those of you that were briefly with us for the morning broadcast that could only last about 30 minutes, we had to fall off due to internet challenges. I hope tonight will be much better and for the foreseeable future. But I do come here on a sad note after the passing of Jayden Adams, the South African football player who was playing for Mamelodi Sundowns and also did feature for Bafana Bafana at the ongoing FIFA World Cup, featuring in all three games. That is a bit of a sad note coming to you. Hi, Viola. How have you been? How has been your day? I hope you're okay. Steve Harrington says, bruh, how are you, Steve Harrington? Is everything well with you? How are you guys coping up? Anyways, allow me to test out my audios just to make sure everything checks out, because my apps are not working. How am I going to watch football? Oh, what's wrong with your apps? What happened? Is it internet? Is it have they been blocked out? What's not happening? Because the best troubleshooting would be that if everything is not working out, sometimes you have to uninstall and then reinstall. But I know the apps people that used to watch football, sometimes they had not to crack. You need to get an APK file and then, bypass your own Android system in terms of installing apps that are not directly from Play Store and things like that. Who is Mbappe playing? Unfortunately, Mbappe is not playing tonight because he did play the other day as they knocked out Morocco, beating them by 2-0, getting himself on the score sheet, scoring from the penalty spot, while Ousmane Dembele was the other on target for the French national side as they advanced to the semi-finals of the World Cup. In the background, as you can see, I've opted for a green screen to commemorate the passing of Jayden Adams there. I know many of you are not a huge fan of it, of the green screen, nor am I, but I think, I don't know, I want us to take a moment of silence to honor the passing of Jayden Adams, just as football people, because it's quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate what has happened for him. At the time of coming to this broadcast, I had yet to ascertain the cause of death, but the 25-year-old passed on today, and that was confirmed by the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture in South Africa, acknowledging his passing. And he did say that's Gayton Mackenzie. He did say that South African football has lost one of its brightest young talents, and our nation mourns alongside his family, his teammates, and the millions of supporters who watched him grow from a promising academy prospect into a full Bafana international. So those were some of the words coming through from Gayton Mackenzie, the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture down in South Africa, or also known as the Rainbow Nation. So we'll take a couple of seconds to pay respect to the deceased. It's always a sad day when a football player does pass on. For me, whenever a football player passes on, especially when they are actively still playing, it takes me back, I think, to sometime in 2022 when Christian Atsu passed on in that earthquake that swept through Turkey. It takes me back to Ismail Chak-Tiote, who was still playing in China when he passed on. It takes us to the dark days of Mark Vivian Foe. It takes us back to the days of Emiliano Sala as he looked to make that transfer to Leicester City, and then he died in a plane crash. And a couple of others that have since left our eyes. But it's really, really a sad day. down in South Africa because they had just returned from the World Cup. For the first time in their history, they had made it out of the group stages. So what they're supposed to be, celebrating their own milestone in their own rights, even though it is not the ultimate, gift that they would have been fighting for. But nonetheless, a couple of seconds of silence to commemorate. May his soul rest in peace. Amen. May his soul indeed rest in peace. That's Jayden Adams. He was playing for Mamelodi Sundowns. And like I said, it's always really, really unfortunate. Okay, let me get to your comments. Enoch, okay, use VPN. When I responded to that, Steve, I tried, but still not working. R.I.P. Adams, that's Godspeed. Viola, do not hate, keep. Share some of those apps. Okay, Isaac, I use Spotty and Crickify, something like that. Crucify. Those are the ones she uses. Now, anyway, I don't know. I don't think SuperSport will be streaming this game because I did observe some of the games had been were being streamed on YouTube and on their TikTok, but I don't think this one they will stream. Okay, then Raymond Kangumba says, "High respect for Luca pass on in that earthquake. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Returned from the World Cup." Okay, so. Anyways, like I said, it's a dark day. It's a dark day for football, and I don't know. You must really, really feel for his family. You must feel for the South African community at large, and everything to do in that in that regard, because it's very troubling when you lose a loved one, but more importantly, somebody that is that renowned, that has just been at the global scene. It's almost unbelievable, with some of those memories still fresh in our minds of watching him feature in 3 games of the group stages for the FIFA World Cup. Now, Viola, to the extent of your issue, okay, chances are you've gone through all this, because usually, basically, it's your internet connection. But if internet connection is checking out with all other apps, then you try and check out, you reboot your device. Then if that's not also working, you uninstall and reinstall the apps. Basically, that's the basic troubleshooting that I know that you can, try and go through, just in case you hadn't gone through any of those. But my assumption is that you've probably run through all of them. Or okay, now this is okay. I cannot put it for you in the comment section. Unfortunately, it's not permitted. But let me see if there's a different source that you can use to watch that game. Because there's a site where you can go and see and try out your luck. It's not a guarantee that it will work out, but you would probably bet your chances that maybe, just maybe, it could serve you. I'm trying to see. What is it called? Is it called 8-8? Oh, no, it's not the one. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember it. It's been ages since I last used it myself. Oh, score 8. Maybe it's behind. No, it's not score 8. That sounds different. I don't know. Is it the one? I don't think it's called score 8. But even if it were to be behind is better than nothing. Half a loaf is better than nothing. I mean to say, because I don't know any other platform that is going to be streaming the game. I don't think SuperSport are going to stream it on their YouTube channel because it's at the quarterfinals. So, it's the only game that is going to be live. So, if they had multiple games, maybe they would have taken a bit on that. Okay. Oh, I almost forgot. Let me put up our poll question for tonight before we even go any further in this podcast. But you never know. You're just going to have to try your luck with any and see what works, because this game is not worth missing. It's not worth missing. You ought to try your best to see if you can catch up on it. You wouldn't want to be narrated to on how it goes down. Okay, Egypt got robbed. That's from Mariam. I saw Egypt. The Egyptians returned home to a heroic welcome, having made it to the round of 16. The farthest they've ever made it to at the finals of the World Cup. So congratulations, Team Egypt. Obviously, there's still some sour grape in there, following the sort of the manner in which the game overall was handled, to the extent of the officiation of that game. So some people still have those feelings of disappointment for the lack of consistency in the very game itself. But unfortunately, and this is what I say, no matter how much we are right or you are right or they are right, that the game was sort of handled in a particular way, even when those that make the mistakes come out and acknowledge them, it never changes the result. That's always the painful part. Okay. Can't show all screen. Oh, and it can't show all screen. I think it can. Usually it does. Anyway, I don't think I've ever experienced it on mobile, but I think it can. I think it can. Anyways, Viola says Norway will win 1-0 today. Raymond Kangumba says hi. England will advance to the semifinals. Give us your score prediction. If you think they're going to advance, give us your score prediction. So quickly, we are just a couple of minutes away from kickoff. I want us to run through the starting 11s for that game, for England. Jesus Christ. Come on. Do I have to next to look for that game? Let's go through the starting 11s. England have Jordan Pickford in goal. They have Nico O'Reilly, Ezri Konsa at right back, Mark Kehi alongside George Stones, Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson in the double pivot, Anthony Gordon, Jude Bellingham, Noni Madueke and Harry Kane. For those of you that are wondering why Bukayo Saka is not starting some of these games, he's playing through injury. He has an Achilles injury. So all the other players are on the bench that you did not hear. On the side of Norway, they do have Ojan Neyland. They do have Rayson. They have Christopher Aja. They have Hegem. They do have Wolfie, Sander Badge, Patrick Badge, Martin Odegaard, Alexander Soroth. Then they do have Andreas Sheldrup, as well as Brad Erling-Haaland in a 4-3-3 system, while England deploy a 4-2-3-1 kind of system, depending on which way you interpret it, but can quickly convert into a 4-3-3, depending on how the game is being played. But that's the starting 11s for both sides. I don't know. Sometimes my imagery feels a bit weird when we have on a green. I'm trying to do away with the green screen for now. Okay, I hope that's better. As doing away with the green screen, I wish there was a way to have it like halfway above me, the image, without having to feature it all the way through. But anyways, that was the player that we were talking about. At least you've had the chance to see him, Jayden Adams. May his soul rest in peace. Okay, Now, as we wait for kickoff, there's let's see. Raymond is predicting a 3-0 victory for England against Norway, says Hurricane to score a hat-trick. Meanwhile, speaking of hat-tricks, you remind me, Viola, do you remember this conversation? Somebody placed a bet that I think it was T-Acting was supposed to pay Vibe Zone. No, was it Vibe Zone or the other way around? One of those, either Vibe Zone or T-Acting. One of them was supposed to pay the other 100,000 Uganda shillings if Hurricane scored a hat trick versus Mexico. Obviously, it did not happen. He scored only one. Jude Bellingham scored a brace. But I don't know if you do remember that conversation. I don't know if you remember that conversation. But okay. So yeah, maybe I don't know. I don't know if you'll remember to bring it up once the conversation resumes. But somebody was supposed to pay someone 100,000 Uganda shillings for that bet, either coming true or not coming true. Obviously, it did not come true. So I don't remember the exactness of terms in regards to the conversation itself, but I do remember having the discussion or the debate. Anyways, coming through tonight, there are some reports indicating that Manchester United could be plotting to hijack a move or any interest from other clubs to sign Morgan Rogers from Aston Villa. So Morgan Rogers is a wanted man. Morgan Rogers is a wanted man, and Manchester United are being reported to have joined the party or among the teams that are interested in his services. So this is according to, it says Manchester United plotting to hijack Arsenal FC move for Morgan Rogers deal. Manchester United ready to offer £109 million plus add-ons for the 23-year-old. Personal terms, not an issue due to Carrick relationship. Now, for those of you that care to remember, Morgan Rogers used to play for Middlesbrough, where Michael Carrick was head coach or manager. And I think in around January 2023, that's when Aston Villa signed him from Middlesbrough. So the relationship, so it is indeed true that Michael Adrian Carrick would know one too well about the prowesses and abilities of Morgan Rogers. So, and FC will shift focus to Bakola should Manchester United advance with negotiations. But that's the some of the rumors coming through according to some speculative reports are coming out of England as of this evening, to the extent of Morgan Rogers. But obviously, predominantly, he's been linked with a potential move to Arsenal. We know that Chelsea holds some interest. I do not know or believe that they will have the financial outlay to he will have the financial outlay to spend on a player like Morgan Rogers, especially knowing that they have a Cole Palmer in there and that they do not have Champions League football as we speak. Okay, so basically, that's what's going on. That's what's going on to the extent of some transfer news. Then Paolo Maldini, yes, one of the greatest defenders, one of the greatest footballers, Italian footballers of all time, is set to be the new technical director of the Italian national team. Yes, Paolo Maldini is set to be the technical director at the Italian national team. Meanwhile, the game is getting underway quite in just a couple of seconds. Thomas Tuchel walks around as though he does not know where to find his seat, but the game is getting underway. So agreement done and confirmed for Maldini to lead a new Italy project with Giovanni Malago as the the president of the Italian Football Federation. Now, obviously, his first task will be to find the head coach replacement for Gennaro Gattuso, who was at the helm of the nation before they failed to advance or to qualify for the World Cup. The game has kicked off, and yeah, it's game on. It's game on. I hope, Viola, you'll find solutions. User says, how is Norway working? Well, the game has just kicked off. We are only a couple of seconds in, barely a minute in, so it is still goalless as we speak. It is still goalless as we speak. So thank you so much, user. Kindly like the broadcast, but also forget not to take part in our poll question for tonight. Who do you think will win? Your predictions. Now, for me, I went for England to advance. I am yet to formulate my opinion around the scoreline, but a 2-1 could suffice for England, in favor of England, to advance to the semi-finals. So yeah, give us your predictions, user Shakul or Asha Shakul. But out of 6 votes cast thus far, 67% of you, that's 4 votes. 4 of you think it is it's Norway that will advance, while the other 2 of you think it will be England. So we'll wait and see. Oh, really? Noni Madueke off as quite heavy of a cross, too much of a cross. Noni Madueke, that's one of the things I want him to work on. I don't know what he does in training sometimes. Does he ever training crossing the ball with the right touch, with the right weight, with the right height? That final ball, he will do everything well, and the final ball will elude him. He just can't, And then I want to see how does Brad Erling Haaland, Mark Gay, and John Stones cope. How do John Stones and Mark Gay fend off, the threat of Brad Erling Haaland? Then in this midfield, how is Declan Rice going to patrol, his captain in Martin Odegaard? That's going to be another interesting key battle to watch. Then Danny Ndoye, I think, versus is it going to be who is it going to be versus? But those are some of the key battles that I'm going to be looking out for in this game. Meanwhile, if Declan Rice gets booked in this game, he will miss the semi-finals through suspension. So it's one of those things that they have to try and avoid as much as possible. They have to try and avoid as much as possible if need be. Declan Rice, and to see certain patterns, certain efficiencies. Anthony Gordon, and to see him get on the ball as much as possible. One day I was making a submission, and I did say that if I were Mikel Arteta, I'd get video clips of Toni Kroos, of Toni Kroos, of maybe Xavi, of Luka Modric, and give them to Declan Rice to watch, just for him to work on his passing range and, quick ball distribution and things like that. Like, you feel there's more to him that can be brought out. You feel there's more to him that can be brought up. Then quick releases, attempting those through passes. He has the long pass, but I want to see him exploit more often. And then that line breaking pass, I want him to develop an eye for it. It's not too late in his career. Video clips of Andrea Pirlo, and then somebody laughed at me that it was a little too much to ask of Declan Rice. So, you know, and then for Martin Odegaard, I'd give him video clips of Mesut Ozil. Oh, hmm. By the way, this has been by far one of the worst World Cups in terms of graphic display. I don't know if it's from DSTV or from whoever is producing these games. For me, it's been the worst display of a World Cup. Like you watch players on screen and they seem so distant. They seem almost unidentifiable. Um, oh, on Madweke at the back end of the post. He was deemed to be offside or having come from an offside position. Oh, Haaland, England clear. Jude Bellingham showing some bit of strength, some bit of grit to retain possession. He's been quite a decent servant for Team England thus far. Oh, the French referee, Kelman something, is the one in charge for tonight's tie. 8 minutes played thus far. We are at the Miami Stadium. So I don't know. Why don't these guys display officials? Clement Tapin. The referee is Clement Tapin. Is the referee for tonight. Meanwhile, forget not that at 4 a.m., Argentina take on Switzerland. That's the final game of the quarterfinals. And whoever advances between these two will wait for whoever comes through between Argentina and Switzerland. Alexander Soloth dispossessed by Nico O'Reilly. Elliot Anderson looks good in terms of progressing that ball. Although I feel the game has kicked off at a slow pace. every opponent being quite respectful of the other, or playing in that sort of mid-block kind of thing. I've not seen any side burst into speed. Oh, the Crown Prince of Norway. Ash says defensively set up in a 4-4-2 Norway. I mean, thanks so much, Ash. What's your prediction? What's your prediction for tonight? Oh, somehow increasingly, a lot of you think Norway are going to advance, that it's going to be the end of the road for Team England. Alexander Soloth choosing to turn back to his own side. I'm waiting for, one of these teams to have a burst, that sort of run and put some bit of intensity and speed to the game. It's sort of been quite respectful. You say England, better team on paper, but I want Haaland versus Messi. I'm so rooting for Norway. When you say you want Haaland versus Messi, it's as though they would be marking one another, but that's quite to the contrary, I mean, even then on paper, Argentina will be stronger than Norway. So, don't you think so? Okay. So far, so good. You say I'm pulling an all-nighter tonight, back-to-back, 2 matches. So I slept already in the afternoon. I tried to catch some sleep in the late evening, but I could barely catch it. And it's been sort of a busy day for me. But same story here. We'll try my best to pull an all-nighter just to catch up on this. Alexander Soloth to Newcastle. Raymond has so many wishes, fantasies, and fallacies. It's not ungettable, but the 30-year-old Norwegian striker. Oh, almost thought I was almost asking, is that Serena Williams? But it's the sister, Venus Williams, out there in the stands. Did you hear about Ademi to Barcelona news? Yes, 22 million euros plus 7 million euros in expected add-ons for the 24-year-old to join Barcelona. And I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those that it's one of those that that caught me a bit off guard. Some of those transfers that you never see coming. One of those transfers that you never see coming. So literally, it sneaked up. It snuck up on us, or sneaked, if is the right word to use. Did you ever imagine Barcelona would be bidding for Karim Ademi? I mean, he only had 1 year left to his current contract and was not willing to renew terms as soon as he learned of Barcelona's interest. Now, obviously he knows he's going to be a bench player at Barcelona because you're not going to play ahead of Rafinha, again ahead of Ferran Torres, you know. So we have to wait and see. 36 Bundesliga goals in the last 4 campaigns. You know, you say actually it's for Lamine Yamal. A backup, a Flick is building the final third for intense pressing. Gordon at the left, Ademi at the right, and Alvarez in the middle. Oh, that would be quite the setup. If it is as if it were to be built as you sort of put it, then Austin says hi. Then you say Farhan might actually go to PSG. Oh, first time I'm hearing about that. All I've heard was PSG were interested in signing Julian Alvarez, that they're among candidates, for his signature, and we know that that Atletico de Madrid are reluctant to sell to Barcelona for very known reasons. So in my head, um, I'll be thinking, you know, fair enough. So it's one of those that we're going to have to wait out and see. But I wouldn't be surprised again if Luis Enrique went for Ferran Torres. To be fair, knowing that Pep Guardiola signed him to Manchester City, albeit he spent there only one season, I would understand why Luis Enrique would be interested in him. He's not an outright striker, that sort of hybrid of a player, a Firmino type of a player, although different in display, you know. So Karim Adeyemi, 7 goals only in 27 games last season, with 5 assists. So that's a 12 goal involvement, and it's been sort of his story over the last couple of seasons. He's never posted double figures in terms of the Bundesliga for goals. Declan Rice is sitting deeper, and Elliot Anderson is the one venturing further forward. As the Elliot Anderson operating out wide on the right, on the left. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how that deal fares out. Oh, forgot to update the kickoff of this game. Jude Bellingham trying a low header there, but very unsuccessful. Okay, as you say, Ademi is German, and Flick already knows him from the German team. So this signing was requested by Flick. Yeah, it does feel like a Hans Flick signing. Hans Flick himself, not too far back ago, extended his stay with Barcelona until June 2028. I think with an option to extend for a further year, something like that. Then you say Laporta took a 200 something million loan to complete all signings in this and the winter window, as after that we'll be shifting to Montjuic Stadium as Camp Nou roof will be made. Oh, I mean, I thought you had moved to the Camp Nou. Like that's done and dusted. That works were obviously going to continue bit by bit to see its conclusion, and it's been the summer. What have they been doing all the summer? But anyway, it's not a day's work. Viola says if Ken scores a hat trick, I have 50K. Wow, that's quite bold. But and quite the conviction that you have that Hurricane cannot pull off a hat trick. How many players have scored hat tricks at this World Cup? I think only two thus far. Lionel Messi versus Algeria, and then Ousmane Dembele versus Norway. As German put 7 past Curaçao, was there anybody that scored a hat trick? Not to the best of my recollection. I don't remember any of that. Yeah, Dembele versus Norway, true. It's almost complete, but our final touches will be done. Okay. Did anybody score a hat trick for German versus Curaçao? Not that I recall, because Kai Havertz scored a brace, and the other scored 1-1 goal. You know. So yeah, Dembele. Those are the only hat tricks we have. Dembele and Messi. That's true. Then you say revenue will drop in that season. So we are going all in on the transfer market in this and next window. Well, you know, Ash, it's quite a ball had been delivered quite well in the Norway box, but there was nobody to lash to it. There was no England player to lash to it. Ash, how I wish Pedri was here. You know, there's a time I said Barcelona were broke, and he nearly bit my head off. And his argument was Barcelona have the money. Tebas is just not allowing them to spend it. Now, there are certain limitations. The idea of, I think it's sort of similar to what is being, I think, adopted in the Premier League. Squad cost ratio, there are certain caps on wages in terms of how far you can go. England were close to breaking the deadlock as we head out for the hydration break. That's a bit close. That's a bit close. Barcelona are back to 1-1. We can now spend. Now, at the time, I was telling him, look, I was reminding him, you remember during that immediate post-COVID era, when Barcelona had to sell some of their TV rights to the tune of 500 million euros to try and raise revenue. They were in debt with players, the likes of Gerard Piqué and others. Lionel Messi, the club owed the money. Then the new stadium project was in the pipeline. So they needed lots of money to do lots of things. And obviously, it was going to impact on how they spent the money. So my argument was that Barcelona at the time did not have the financial muscle to do the sort of outlay that he thinks and thought that his club is capable of. Now, unfortunately for him, and perhaps for me, depending on which way you slice it, it kept like he was blinded to his conviction and belief, love and conviction in Barcelona to admit that they could even be broke. Now, usually when we say clubs are broke, that a particular club like Barcelona is broke, it's not to say that they do not have a single penny. No. It's to say that as a business, they are operating, but they have debt. debt is not a bad thing to have, But then when you're operating and you're doing debt servicing, oftentimes there are certain limitations in regards to how you spend on certain things. I'll give you an example. A business cannot take out a loan to refurbish their office space, because that's not something that is going to bring in money. A business will take a loan to scale, to accelerate growth, to meet demand, among other things, obviously. So he could not come to terms with the idea of them being broke, Still after Madrid, that's Amelia. Hi, Amelia. It's been a minute. I haven't seen you around for the last couple of days. I hope you've been doing all right. Ash says, actually, Barcelona has money. They make the most revenue after Real Madrid. I understand that, guys. What example can I use? Let me give you an example of Facebook. Facebook for 7 years operated on a loss. It's not because they did not have money or that they weren't making money. The money was coming in, but it wasn't enough. I'll give you an example. If I rent and own, okay, let's say I own a business, a retail shop, and I have, let's say, a loan of $1,000, but then I'm making the sales. Let's say at the end of the month, I make, let's say, $500 worth of sales. And then I factor in the cost of goods or stock, factor in other bills and expenses. Maybe I use electricity, water, maybe I pay for labor, and then whatever is left, I have to do debt service, So it doesn't mean that I'm not making money. It means I'm making money, but I'm not breaking even because I'm doing debt servicing. So even same applies for Barcelona. I'll give you another example. Manchester United are in debt. They have a huge debt, but they are making money. Lots of it, by the way. So I wasn't saying Barcelona were broke, that they are not making money. No. I was saying, based on what they were making and what their responsibilities were, there was a gap. Because it's not like they had money, but were refusing to pay players. It's one thing for you to have the money and say, I will not pay my employees. But usually, you'll be making the money, but you're not paying employees because of other things that come ahead of that. So basically, that's sort of the picture I was trying to paint for him. But for him, he took it flat out that I was saying, oh, Barcelona broke. Like broke in the sense of they do not have a penny. So I understand, brother. I'm doing my master's in finance and I hold a GPA of 9.7. Completely understand. 9.7? Oh, I didn't. Indulge me on that, Ash. I'm accustomed to the GPA being 5. And Hurricane with a decent free kick, but he could not keep it under the bar. He went off. He went over the bar. It was within the range of targets, but just not underneath the bar. So, Ash, I'm accustomed to the 105. So when you say 9.7, wow, that's quite remarkable. On a 10-point scale. Okay. Wow, that's quite impressive. Genius almost, if anything. Here we have 10 points system. Okay, that's impressive. Which is the greatest club ever, Mr. Host? Greatest club ever? I think Real Madrid. I think it has to be Real Madrid. So because their brand is big, they win on the pitch, they make the most revenue. Yeah, they're right up there. It may be subjective. The debate in itself may be subjective, But if one is objective enough, they may sort of come around to the idea that, yeah, indeed it is Real Madrid. Ash says, I'm from northeastern India. Wow, northeastern India. Obviously, it does sound unfamiliar to me. Peaceful in the mountains. Are you also vegan in the mountains? Or you're half vegan, half meat lovers? Okay, I think I skipped a comment. Definitely, both Madrid and Barcelona have debts. Okay, yeah. Oh, like many big businesses operate on debt. The Norwegians out there with their signature celebration of the canoeing. Guys, did any of you watch Vikings? I could be the only one here who has watched Vikings, and that every time Norway do that celebration, I'm the only one who can relate to Ragnar Rathbrock and his brother. Ragnar and his brother. I forget the brother's name. The one that looks that was bigger, as big as Brad Erling Haaland. Okay, nope. None on the Harvard Press. No, okay. Barcelona. Okay. Raymond talks about Manzambi should sign for Newcastle. Well, we are waiting for that deal to get done. If it will get done, hopefully Newcastle do not get hijacked like they were done last summer, almost throughout. 10-point scale. Okay, thank you. Where you from? Responded to. Peaceful, bro. Nah, bro, I'm not vegan. Okay. Then that brings me to the question. This thing about Indians and respect for cows, is it like that? Is it like across the entire country or in certain cultures or parts of the country? In India, they respect cows. And for the parts that I've seen, I know Ragnar, that's from Ash. I've heard that Vinny is leaving Real Madrid. Now, that's from Amelia. Let's discuss that in a bit. France. France on the way. That's from Amelia. France are waiting to play Spain in the semi-finals. That will be on Tuesday. Oh, I looked a bit risky from Jordan Pickford. It's not one known to take risky passes. Will oftentimes look to blast it forward. Oh, wow. England just got away with one. England just got away with one. And thanks to Jordan Pickford for being alert. Otherwise, it will be 1-0 to the good for Norway, trying to play from out of the back. A loose pass was played and intercepted, and Norway nearly got themselves away with that one. You say I'm Christian though, okay? Can you answer my question again? I didn't hear. Yeah. I'm coming to that about Vinicius Junior. Now the case about Vinicius Junior is that dating to as far back as last summer, Real Madrid and Vinicius Junior have been haggling over the renewal of his contract. Real Madrid would wish to renew his contract. The player would want to renew his contract and continue with Real Madrid. Nonetheless, they were not they were not on the same page with Real Madrid when it came to the players asking terms and conditions, especially when it came to wages. Reports did suggest that Vinicius Junior was asking to be on the same wage scale with Kylian Mbappe, which is to the contrary of what Florentino Perez does believe he deserves. Now, it's a case of who is the poster boy of Real Madrid, and obviously it's Kylian Mbappe now. For when you go back to I think 2024, and prior it was Vinicius Jr. Oh, Haaland with a brilliant header, but Jordan Pickford was there to collect. So now, at one point in his debut campaign, you felt that Jude Bellingham was the poster boy for Real Madrid, but obviously, when it comes to the overall branding, what a goal. Andre Sheldrup, with a brilliant strike, scores to give Norway the lead in this game. Now, the goal will be reviewed because Harry Kane on the other side was claiming a foul on him. But wow, what a goal that was. Top bins. Did not see that coming. Okay, so Patrick Page on clipping there. Oh, wow. It was almost more like a cross of some sort. It's like he was looking to put it at the back end of the post for Brad Erling Haaland to lash onto it, but then it goes in on the inside of the upright and hits the back of the net. And it's 1-0 to Norway, while Harry Kane stayed on the ground, raising his arm, claiming for foul. Obviously, it will be reviewed. But let's wait and see. So, Tapin Clement thus far says that the goal stands. And looks like we are going to carry on. 1-0 to Norway. The goal stands. So back to the conversation regarding, you say what a goal, man. We score. Vela says, Vela is excited pretty much. How is Chelsea doing? We have signed Cucurella. What a goal. Okay, what happened? That's from Summer. Sheldrup scored a brilliant goal. That's what happened. But anyways, continue taking part in that poll question. Nico O'Reilly left on the floor by Alexander Soroth. Oh. I felt like a heavy landing. Martin Odegaard having a few words with Tapin Clement. While responding to Amelia saying, I also support Madrid, but we're going to miss Cucurella in Chelsea. Okay, I do not know who is going to win. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And that's why it's called a prediction. It's not called a statement of fact or a sworn out truth. It's a prediction. So you give us your prediction nonetheless. So Cucurella versus Yamal Ademi will be there. That's from Ash. So okay, back to Vinicius Jr. and wrap up on Vinicius Jr. So the contract negotiations between the club and Vinicius Jr.'s camp have sort of stalled. And at one point, the Saudis were willing to offer one of the elite clubs from Saudi Arabia, I think Al Hilal or Al Nassr, one of those, was willing to offer up to 350 million euros to sign Vinicius Jr., but with the proposal to allow him stay at Real Madrid for one extra season before he joins them. Now, obviously, Alexander Soroth nearly made it 2-0 for Team Norway. Jordan Pickford was in the right spot. A ball going a couple of inches over the bar. Vara says her app is now working. Okay, good. That's good. That's good. Enjoy the game. So, because those contract talks have stalled, that's what has sort of led to this continuous speculation regarding Vinicius Jr. and the possibility of leaving Real Madrid. I've seen some reports linking Arsenal with a potential move for him. I find it a bit difficult, a deal to do. Not that Arsenal cannot afford it, but it would come, I think, at the expense of their flexibility in the market. Because if you're going to sign a player like Vinicius Junior, he's not going to come cheap. He's not going to come on low wages, you know. So it's quite an expensive deal for any club that may look to do it. But in the event that you were to be available in the market, I think any big club would be interested in his services. A Manchester City could throw their hat in the ring, but I do not think there's a club out there that has the conviction that he's definitely going to be leaving Real Madrid. You know, and then you feel so Man City, Arsenal, maybe Liverpool, Manchester United, PSG. Although PSG, looking at Luis Enrique's model, I feel like he would sort of be hesitant to allow his side sign a player of that caliber because of ego and things like that. But he does work hard, really. And then, I mean, those would be some of the top clubs. And then, of course, in the Saudi Pro League in the Saudi Pro League, many clubs could afford his services. Okay, Amelia, you say Bellingham, Vinicius, Mbappe, Kukurea, Silva, OMG. Now I hope Mourinho will take care of their attitudes. Silva. Which Silva are you referring to? Oh, Bernardo Silva. Oh, okay. Yeah, he will take care of their attitudes. He's one of those guys that is really, really good at managing egos. Then you say, I don't want any type of trouble now, as I trust Mourinho's players' managing skills. He's good at managing players, but once or twice, or more than once, he's also burnt his fingers when it comes to player management. He's found himself on divisive sides of player rumbles. You remember his time at Manchester United with Paul Pogba. There were some issues there, you know. So once in a while, you'll hear those shenanigans about him. Then Mbappe versus Jose Mourinho, dictator versus the special one. We'll see who will be dictating to who. But I think Mourinho appreciates Kylian Mbappe well enough for the talent that he is to know that he just needs to say the right motivating things to him to get the best out of him. Are you Aibo? That's from no, I'm not Aibo. Ash, let's see, hope for the best. But Merino can bring. Alexander Soroth decided to be selfish there. But Norway are looking the better side in terms of going forward, in terms of how they behave in the final third. They've looked the better side. They've looked better than England. England may be dominant on the ball or appear to be, but as we look towards the tail end of this opening stanza, it is England that have looked better. Oh, as a fairly decent cross from Donny Madueke, but it was cleared. You say, but Merino, oh, I think you mean Mourinho, but can he bring Olise? I don't think it's really up to Mourinho or his ability to bring him in. That's all entirely between Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. So Florentino Perez can afford a player like Olise, just that Bayern Munich are not willing to sell. That's why I said it will depend on the player. If the player does request to move, maybe Bayern Munich will have to change their stance. But then you also have to ask yourself, At what cost? You know, at what cost? Because it has to be at the right fee, you know. And what's the right fee? That's always a huge question. He did say he's worth 150 million euros or more. Last I checked, that speculation had gone to as high as 200 million euros, you know. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But Real Madrid did promise at least a marquee signing this summer. We'll have to wait and see. Ash says, yeah, Flick coming with Gordon and Ademi, both top fastest wingers. Lolo, pure pace merchants. Bayern won't sell Odyssey. That's their stance at the moment. But, anything can happen in football. England, here they come. Anthony Gordon. Amelia says if Vinny left, they will sign Odyssey at any cost. Rodrigo Goes is still there. I mean, Rodrigo Goes is one of those players that he's not had a decent season ever since the 2023-2024 campaign at Real Madrid. Oh, equalizer. Jude Bellingham with the goal. 1-1. England 1, Norway 1. Jude Bellingham scores to restore parity. I think that's his fifth goal. Is it? Is it not? Scored a brace against Mexico. He did score against Croatia. Anthony Gordon with the decent assist, beautiful cutback across the edge of the area, and Jude Bellingham puts it beyond the reach of Ojan Neyland. And it's 1-1. He's been quite the performer at this year's World Cup. And then the Norwegian head coach decides to smack his water bottle through the legs of somebody on the technical bench. Ah, that's the best pass. Oh, Hurricane tried to go from distance, but Ojan Nelan was up to the task. So Rodrigo Goes, yeah, he's one of those players. By the way, if he didn't have a knee injury, trust me, Real Madrid will be willing to entertain offers this summer. They were willing to entertain offers last summer, but nobody came in for him, despite heavy speculation that had linked him with a potential move to Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So you say, no, I don't want Vio. Do you watch Odyssey? Hello, sir. That's from Rio Dandy. Hello, Rio Dandy. How are you doing? You say, yeah, but let's see. Gordon will be doing same for Barcelona. That's from Ash. I'm sure Barcelona fans out there must have really, really enjoyed that assist. Oh, it's 2-2. It's 2-1, sorry. But the flag goes up. Hurricane thought he had scored to make it 2-1 for England, but the flag goes up. Oh, he had veered offside by the time that ball is nicked in his path by Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham could not believe his eyes. And then the referee calls the game to the interval. It's 1-1. Andreas Sheldrup in the 36th minute and Jude Bellingham in the second minute of stoppage time of the opening stanza are the goal scorers through this game. So, I mean, Mourinho wants that every player should wear their national jersey under Madrid's jersey so that they can play better. Well, by the same Jose Mourinho was saying, he wanted France, England to exit the World Cup as quickly as possible because he wants those players to return to Real Madrid and play for the club. You've seen the images. Pre-season has kicked off for Real Madrid, and let's wait and see. Vara says, "My friends, you will tear me apart." Oh, wait. Bannange ojja kunkutula. Viola, what's that supposed to mean? I almost thought, YouTube was wrong in their translation. Okay. Ash says, I heard from Fabrizio today that Deco is waiting for Argentina's World Cup campaign to get over. Then he will be going full in for Julian Alvarez. I mean, Barcelona's interest in Julian Alvarez is well documented. It's a public secret. It's out there for the entire world to know that the whole interest. But and like I've said before, Real Madrid have been insistent. Sorry, Atletico de Madrid have been insistent that unless Barcelona are willing to pay his full release clause, which is to the tune of 500 million euros, never going to happen, in my humble opinion, unless a miracle happens, unless Barcelona sell half of their squad to raise the resources that they would spend that on Julian Alvarez. Is he worth 500 million euros? I don't think any player present day out there is worth that amount of money, really. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, Atletico de Madrid, first and foremost, do not want to sell Julian Alvarez. But should they find themselves in a must-sell position, they would rather sell to teams outside La Liga. And the only teams in the Spanish La Liga that can afford Julian Alvarez are Barcelona and Real Madrid. So, for which, if it is any of those two, they have to pay the release clause of 500 million euros, unless a PSG comes calling. But like I said, PSG are interested. Unless an Arsenal comes calling for his services, we only have to wait and see. I do not know. Sometimes clubs, as the window wears down, they tend to soften their stance on the sale of a particular player in terms of their asking price. If anything, the incident of Newcastle, Alexander Isak versus Liverpool last summer is evidence of that. But it takes time. It takes time. Sometimes you have to play the waiting game. The player has to try and force a move by putting in a transfer request. For some, even a transfer request is not enough. Alexander Isak, I thought, behaved unprofessionally in trying to force a move away from Newcastle. Eventually, he got his move. The debut campaign wasn't as good as he had hoped for. We are only looking forward to next season to see if he can come to the good. But 125 million pounds was spent on him by Liverpool. So let's just keep our tabs on that situation and see. McKenna says there is no way that Norway guy meant that shot. For me, it had the hallmarks of him attempting to put in a cross at the back post for Brad Erling Haaland to lash onto, but the ball crept in on the inside of the upright and went into the back of the net. That was my assessment of it. Ash says, actually, Julian fits the flick system perfectly. Imagine Rafinha, Alvarez, Yamal, and substitute Gordon and Adeyemi. Then gegen pressing, gonna be crazy. I can sit back or recline myself back in this chair and imagine where you're coming from with that sort of vision, or when you envision that, it's almost dreamland. It's almost dreamland. It's almost EA Sports or PlayStation kind of, a thought. But it's possible. I remember a Barcelona fan asked me, knowing that Barcelona are looking for a striker and that they need to replace Robert Lewandowski, who is the most ideal candidate. And for me, Julian Alvarez was top of that list. And next to him was a Joao Pedro. At the time when Victor Osimhen was being heavily linked with a potential move to Barcelona. And I said, Victor, I do not look at Victor Osimhen as a Barcelona type of player, but nonetheless, even back in 2022, when Robert Lewandowski signed for same Barcelona, he was not a typical type of Barcelona player, but he came in and banged in the goals, and the rest is history. So we just have to keep watch of the space and see how Barcelona will behave entirely. That's why I do not want Chelsea fans to brace themselves to sort of let their guard down that they have managed to keep a hold of Joao Pedro, because I have this sneaky feeling at the back of my mind, and maybe I'm wrong, and I pray I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, that if Barcelona fail in their pursuit for Julian Alvarez, their fallback position could be Joao Pedro from Chelsea. That's my anticipation. I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Okay. Ash continues to say Alvarez wants to come to Barcelona. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. Already personal terms with Barcelona done. It will be a crazy fight, but I hope we will get it done. Now, it is true that the player wants to join Barcelona, but like I said, it's not entirely in his hands. It is part in his hands and majority in part to Atletico de Madrid. He is contracted to Atletico de Madrid, and they will decide what they want to see happen. Transfer window could be wrapped up, and he's still an Atletico de Madrid player, whether he wants it or not. So we've seen those scenarios happen. So, but let's wait and see. Then you support England. I don't know who that question is meant for, but if it is meant for me, I don't know if it's a rhetorical question, Viola, or if it's meant for me. But for me, I'm a neutral, just enjoying the game for what it is. Okay, you say, McKenna says Isaac didn't put in a transfer request as you lose your loyalty bonuses. He refused to outrightly to either train or play. No, yes, that's true. He did not put in a transfer request. I'm simply saying, unless Julian Alvarez puts in a transfer request or refuses to, play ball, because what Alexander Isak basically did was refuse to play. He refused to go to a pre-season tour with the rest of the team, and he went and trained using the facilities of Real Sociedad. Then he returned back to the UK and he was training alone. And until that time when Newcastle decided to sanction the move against their, preference. So I do not anticipate, I do not know, I cannot predict whether Julian Alvarez will take the same path or it will be otherwise. In some cases, players put in transfer requests and what they do. Because here's how it works. If, let's say, a player has to be paid loyalty bonuses or a certain fee, by the time they agree to put in a transfer request, usually it comes at a promise of the buying club saying, whatever fee you're supposed to receive, we'll pay it to you as a sign-on fee or as a signing bonus, So that's how they go around about that. So if, let's say, I'm Julian Alvarez and having completed 2 seasons with Atletico de Madrid, I'm supposed to receive a loyalty fee of, let's say, 1 million euros or 2 million euros, then I let Barcelona know that I cannot put in a transfer request because it would make me lose my 2 million euros, which is my hard-earned money. So, and then maybe Barcelona would say, okay, if you put in a transfer request, we'll agree to pay you your 2 million euros as sign-on bonus, but it will be structured in such a manner. The rest is history. Like the terms to that condition or to that sort of school of thought will depend on what they can agree on. But yeah, I want Alvarez to cause havoc like Isak. Careful what you wish for. McKenna puts the rat emoji. I don't know what you mean exactly. Alvarez should start scoring own goals. Well, he's still at the World Cup and they're not playing. It's really hard for a striker to score own goals when majority of the time he's in the opponent's half. The problem is bigger than Barcelona, though. Where does it end? I mean, the saga will rage on until such a time when either party, sort of backs down. Because at the end of the day, either Atletico de Madrid fold or Barcelona turn away. So, but sometimes the longer it drags on, now you remember how Liverpool ended up signing two elite strikers? Obviously, one more elite than the other in Hugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak. Ordinarily, if Liverpool had signed Alexander Isak in the first place, they wouldn't have signed Hugo Ekitike. But Hugo Ekitike came in first, and then this added on Alexander Isak. So basically, Barcelona wouldn't want to find themselves in a place where, let's say, they're going for a Joao Pedro from Chelsea, pay maybe 80 million euros or more, and they sign him, and then suddenly Alvarez also becomes available. So we just have to wait and see. What if a Barcelona player does it? Well, I mean, for me, it's never good when a player tries to force a transfer move. But usually, these players have certain promises made to them, either verbally or otherwise, or in writing, that whenever those promises are not fulfilled, they feel inclined to want to leave. In some cases, it's simply personal ambition and aspiration. Because I'll give an example. Even a Newcastle fan like McKenna will acknowledge that Liverpool is a bigger team than Newcastle, if he is being objective enough to himself, as much as he loves Newcastle. But let me take another example. Let's say you're Anthony Gordon. Barcelona comes in for you. You love Newcastle. You'd have stayed at Newcastle regardless. But Barcelona is a great opportunity. It's a bigger club than Newcastle. It promises, it guarantees you a chance of winning silverware on a higher chance or percentage than Newcastle would promise you. It's a big club. It will probably offer you even a bigger paycheck. So sometimes the buying club is also of significance. As much as we love some of these players to stay with their respective clubs, they have dreams and aspirations. Those dreams and aspirations may not take the same course or may not take the desired pre-planned journey, but they still hold them nonetheless. I'll give you an example. At the age of 13, Eberechi Eze was cut off at Arsenal. He moved around, went to Fulham, never signed him, ended up at Queen's Park Rangers. Spent a couple of loan spells elsewhere. Long story short, August 2020 signs for Crystal Palace, and come the summer 2025, Arsenal interested in him, Tottenham Hotspurs are interested in him. Tottenham are willing to pay the money that's in transfer fees. He's willing to accept an offer from them, but his desired move is with Arsenal. That's number one priority. So eventually, as the story is told, he picks up the phone and he calls Mikel Arteta. He's like, are you really going to let me go to Tottenham Hotspurs? I mean, I would love to, So when a team like Arsenal come in for a player like Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace, he's going to want to make the move. Arsenal is a bigger club. Crystal Palace is a smaller club. In comparison of the two, Arsenal are going to pay him bigger wages than Crystal Palace can afford him. So sometimes it just comes down to that. Now, when it came to the work of Alexander Isak, first of all, he felt that the club had made him some promises that they had not fulfilled. I think to the extent of the Newcastle project and building the brand, building the team that he thought would help the team become major competitors for major pieces of silverware. So for me at the time, my submission was such that if our Newcastle, stick to your guns, keep the player. Now, obviously, when you stick to your guns, it comes at the risk that the player, when you stick with the player and hold him and he doesn't get the transfer, he's bound not to play well, and therefore his value drops down. So maybe if he was valued at 125 million pounds, if you keep hold of him for an extra year and tell him, look here, we're keeping you for 1 more year, guaranteeing you that next year you'll get your transfer, it may change the circumstances. The other club may no longer be interested because they may have found another suitable candidate for the same role. Two, you for Newcastle, you may now be worth 80 million pounds or 100 as opposed to 120. So that's value down, depending certain, on circumstances. Okay, let me quickly run through these other comments. Here in Newcastle, Isak is known as the rat. You see, he's now looked at by Newcastle fans as somebody that literally gave up their jersey for for the money. It's about players going on strike, not waiting. I mean, you see, just because you go on strike does not guarantee that you get your wish, that you get the desired move. A club can choose to say you are under contract and you will honor this contract, or at least you're not going to move this summer, and it is as simple as that. So at the end of the day, the way the business, the personal, if you put the personal out of it, then you'll do the right business decision. But also the right business decision does not mean selling the player. It could mean retaining the player for an extra, for an extra for an extra season, and then they move, the subsequent season. Anyway, guys, we're already back for the second half. And about 45 minutes played, that's far. Okay. Not waiting, yes, but there is a way to go about it. You don't just go on strike. That's true. That's what I do not appreciate, because, I mean, when players sign for these clubs, they sign with all the desire. Alexander Isak was at that Real Sociedad. Yes, he was attracting interest, but it was Newcastle that paid the top dollar, about 60 or something million pounds to get him in. So they get him in, and 2-3 years in, he begins acting up. Come on, yesterday we were a dream move for you. I understand dreams change, aspirations change along the way as time goes by, but you cannot suddenly act. Oh, Declan Rice was withdrawn for this second half, and Eberechi Eze came on, while Bukayo Oyankasaka also came on for Noni Madueke. So that means Judy Bellingham comes in the 8th role, and then you have Eberechi Eze in that number 10 role. England have a decent free kick. Looks like Harry Kane is leaving this one for Eberechi Eze. Oh, deflection went off an England player. It did appear to be a decent strike, but Anthony Gordon could not duck in time to pave way for that one. Anyways, so you don't just go on strike. He was hardly getting paid peanuts. Then, yeah, he was one of Newcastle's top earners, if not the very top. Then he shouldn't have signed the new contract. Then Yumakat says, come on. Then you say, my fab footballer is R9, Henry, Messi. Your favorite footballers are Ronaldo, Nazario, Dalima, Thierry Henry, and Lionel Messi. Good choice. McKenna says, you'll never see Isak as anything other than a rat. What if all players just do that? What happens? I mean, that's what that was part of my argument last summer, that Kevin for Newcastle, Kevin to that sort of behavior was almost like opening a can of worms. What if other players, what if 5 players out of the squad behave in a similar manner? Where does it then end? So sometimes the owners, the big boys, need to take the tough decisions to ensure that that is cut out. Okay. Send Santiago Munez to Newcastle. He had just signed a new contract. That's true. The previous season. Yeah, that's true. So at the time, Newcastle were in a strong position contractually with the player, Declan Rice, for whatever reason, was withdrawn for Eberichi Eze. While Noni Madueke almost felt like a routine change, a predetermined change for Bukayo Saka to come on. Jude Bellingham. A pass was a bit played behind. Come on. Ezri Kosa occupied the wide area and create a complete triangle. But he stayed further behind. And then he was asking for Bukayo Saka or Eberechi Eze to move out wide. Here they come, Eze to Saka. Saka's attempt deflected or blocked. Eze's counter pressing is as lazy as Eze himself. Jordan Pickford decides to parry that over the bar. Wasn't sure whether it was creeping in. Didn't take any chances. And Norway have themselves a corner. Haaland test Pickford again for Norway to win another corner. It's another corner kick for Team Norway. England. Struggling to deal with these set pieces decisively. And it's a goal. 2-1 for Norway. Jordan Pickford could not put that away far enough. And England are behind once again. There was a claim for foul on Elliot Anderson in the build up to that. It will be checked, but Hegem is the goal scorer. Is he onside? He's onside. I think McKay puts him onside. Is it McKay or Bukayo Saka? It will be scrutinized. The referee has been tasked to go to the pitch side monitor to check that out. Remember, FIFA are trying to cut out any sort of set piece shenanigans, and it didn't take long looking at that. Tapping Clement, and is back with the decision. I don't know what the decision is. After review, the goal doesn't stand. The goal does not stand. But Erling Haaland is judged to have committed a foul by pushing Elliot Anderson long before the ball was even played, and therefore the goal does not stand. His ruling is that the corner be retaken. His ruling is that the corner be retaken. Now, a lot of you are going to wonder, why is he ruling that the corner be retaken? It's because the foul is committed before the ball is played. Had it been committed after the ball was played, then it would have been a free kick for England, or a goal kick, but a free kick for England. But because it happens before the ball is kicked, that's why he's saying, let the corner be retaken. And if Norway are to score, let them score a genuine goal. Uh-oh. Norway's right back is done through injury. Rayson, shot 26. Julian Resson, still not sure, but he could be withdrawn. He's being forced off through injury. Seen that before. Wouldn't be the first to be forced off through injury. Is it clears? England, here they come. Bellingham could not keep possession. Uh-oh. England still struggling to come out of their own half, but have been aided by back pass from Norway. England need to find a way of fighting for those second balls when the defenders clear at the first time of asking. You're not missing much. Ever since that goal was ruled out, that had given Norway the breakthrough or the second. Now, that sets quite the precedent going into next season on fouls that are committed before the ball is played. Sets quite the precedent. I don't know whether UEFA will be taking some of this on, or other domestic leagues will be looking to take them some to be taking on some of them. The likes of the Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, Italian Serie A, German Bundesliga, the French League One, and beyond. But trust me, rules about set pieces are bound to change at some point or another. England have been quite dominant thus far with 65% of ball possession, but have had fewer shots on target compared to Norway, who have had 4, and only 2 for England. At 4 a.m., it's going to be a game between Switzerland and Argentina. Tapin Clements, one of those highly praised match officials from France, from the country of Bonjour. Bonjour, merci beaucoup. Oh, Anthony Gordon could not keep it in. It's not sort of had the kind of impact. Arsene Wenger out there with Cesc Fabregas discussing football. I can see his ex-son Leite Kaka alongside Cafu, among other dignitaries out there. Looks like there's no love lost between Cesc Fabregas and Arsene Wenger. Very soon or later, we'll be heading for the hydration break. Anthony Gordon in the box with a beautiful cutback, quite deep. Hurricane could not bring it under his immediate control. I'd love the game to have a little bit more pace. But Norway are playing that high defensive line. England looking to push it back. I have a question. I don't know who will answer it to me. Sheldrop is one of those players that are going to be withdrawn as Norway look to re-strengthen. We're into the hydration break, so you're not missing much or anything for that matter. Man, sometimes players play too much. I reflect back on that moment in the first half where Alexander Soloth had only one job to do, square that ball to Brad Erling Haaland, and England would have found themselves 2-0 down, genuinely. Meanwhile, Chelsea Football Club did confirm the death of their former chairman, Kenny Betts, at the age of 94. He passed away this morning in Monaco. So that's another bit of unfortunate news. For those of you that are just joining us, the image you see in the background is of a 25-year-old Jayden Adams, a South African player who passed on today at the age of 25, or yesterday, passed on yesterday at the age of 25. He had been with the Bafana at the World Cup, and he did feature in all three of their group stage games. So So that's football in the dark world. England making a change of their own. Anthony Gordon withdrawn for Richard James. That's quite an interesting change. That's quite an interesting change. It could mean that Eberechi Eze goes to the left and Richard James comes into midfield alongside Elliot Anderson, and then you have Judy Bellingham going back in the number 10 role. That's what it could mean or imply. Okay, well, I says I'm back. I'm back, but England, Tewona, England won't survive. England's women's team are better. That's from Yamkat or Cat. Quite the interesting take there to suggest that England's women's team is better. Well, they did survive that scare for the goal that was ruled out for a foul in the build-up to the goal before the corner was taken. Brad Erling Haaland being accused or found guilty of pushing Elliot Anderson in the area before the ball was floated in. Uh-oh. Norway are looking to attract England into a high press and then go long, but they're risking it. It could come back to bite them. It could cost them. Kaisaka lacking support. Richard James. Or a bad ball. Uh-oh. Norway here in the counter-attack. McGahey was left on the floor. Here they come. Oscar Bob. And Pickford gathers. McGahey. England had better stop this idea of once a foul is committed against you, you must stay down, hoping against hope that the referee is going to call it for foul or blow the whistle. Otherwise, that's how they conceded the first goal. They watched on, hoping for foul to be called on their captain, but it never came through. And eventually it came back to bite them. Norway looking for a breakthrough here. Really, really squeezing England in. Ezri Kosa appears to be in pain. The Blue Baron says England are the greatest. Ashley Cole and John Terry out there watching. England brought civilization to the world. As from the Baron, the Blue Baron. The Blue Baron brings civilization to the channel by becoming a member for only $0.5. So now it's still a 50-50. 12 podcasts, 50% think Norway will go through, 50% think England will make it through. Dylan Pickford clears. Oh, goes off the crossbar. Christopher Aja, one of those involved in the thick of action. Ezri Kosa continues to limp. Oof. Pickford did not punch that away further enough. The resultant ball is headed to the crossbar. As definitely going in if it were underneath that crossbar. Pickford was beaten. England have seemed to struggle in defending set pieces. Bala says why John Terry is not a coach. He is a coach. John Terry is a coach. Remember, he was an assistant to Dean Smith at Aston Villa. And then I think he works with one of those unders at Chelsea, the underage boys. Last I checked. But I stand to be corrected, but he is a coach. He worked with Dean Smith at Aston Villa. You remember, and that was around 2019, that Aston Villa side that had been re-promoted back to the Premier League, and they went and brought in the likes of Mohamed Trezeguet. So he does work with the Chelsea Academy. You want him to be head coach? Not too far back ago, he did express that he was Bukayo Saka put that ball quite deep in. I don't know if it was meant to creep in at the back end of the post or it was meant for an intended target. Simply putting in that ball into a dangerous area for any of those players to latch onto it. But Elliot Anderson did not arrive fast enough at the back end of the post. And then they show us Christopher Aja's attempt that went off the crossbar. Now, to the extent of being him a head coach, he was saying the other day during his appearance on SuperSport that he felt let down when Chelsea did not offer him the interim role when they part ways with Liam Rossignol, and it was given to Carl McFarlane. But he does work with the Chelsea academy, so maybe one day he will get his chance. You say he really wants football. He does. They all do. But sometimes great players do not make great coaches. There's also that. Meanwhile, 10 minutes of normal time left to play. The last thing I want here is extra time. I do not want extra time. I want this game to be played in normal time and wrapped up. Whichever team wins, I couldn't care any less. But we've not seen the England that stand up against Mexico. Nico O'Reilly, one of those really, really tall players. Uh-oh. England are not at ease at all. Oscar Bob and Antonio Nusa are teasing them left, right, and center. Norway just won themselves another corner. Could they not bring any of those Vikings, any of those guys from Vikings, at least Ragnar or Floki or what was his name? Loro. Yes, he was called Loro, the brother to Ragnar. Odegaard's hesitation to do the simple thing sometimes baffles me. His hesitation to do the simple thing sometimes baffles me. He receives that ball. As soon as he receives it, all he has to do is cross it back into the box. Makes a hesitation, ends up passing it out of play. And then his team lose possession. But Football Tribe, next year I have to know the players of Norway. How will you know them next year when next year there is no major international competition? Looks like Thomas Tuchel is looking to bring on Dejat Space. Chances could be that Ezri Konsa may be paving the way. I don't know. You can still know them. Oh, Norway on the counter attack. Here they come. Saka's intervention bails England out temporarily. You can still know those players. For example, Sander Badge plays for Fulham. Patrick Badge plays for Bodo Glimt. Odegaard, that one you're well familiar with him. Haaland, you're familiar. Alexander Soloth plays with Atletico de Madrid. Sheldrop with Sporting CP, I think. So really, you can know them. You can know them. My head was full of your head was full of Katie. What is Katie? Is that like a TV show? One of those TV soaps that you guys watch? Like, by the way, the one thing you have to know, Viola, is it's hard to know all the players. It's really hard because there are so many players. There's so many, but you can know a fair share of them. I'll give you an example. Look at only the top 5 leagues in Europe: Premier League, Spanish La Liga, Italian Serie A, Bundesliga, and French League One. 5. Each club has about, at least in their squad, about 26 players or plus. You think it's easy to remember all those? And then when you go to the UEFA Champions League, because of that interaction, Champions League, Europa League, and maybe Conference League, depending on what your interest is, you find more there, Then you'll find FC Porto, you'll find a Sporting CP, you'll find a Benfica, then you'll find a Bodo Glimt, you'll find a Club Brugge, So at the end of the day, you can know a good number of them or many of them, but you can never know all of them or most of them. But do believe that I started watching football last season. Oh, started watching football last season. How long have you been a Chelsea fan? If I didn't know, anyway, do I even know better? Jesus Christ. Bukayo Saka almost put it on the plate, but nobody could react quickly enough in that England attack to make that count. That's as good as a chance England have created thus far in this second half. Meanwhile, Nico O'Reilly was the player that was withdrawn for Desert Space. But wow. Nobody was there to apply the finishing touch. The goalkeeper was damn beaten. Berechi Eze could not arrive on time, and nor did Hurricane. You say I was just a fan, but not watching matches. Well, now you have a new hobby. You have a new hobby to try and watch as much football as you can, but no pressure. And Norwegian made the most of that. Slide push on him and he flew in the air like a bird. Luis Alberto Suarez is out there also watching. Oh, Morgan Rogers is coming on for Ezri Kosa. That's a whole reorganization of the team, because it then means that Rachel James goes to right back because they've withdrawn Ensri Kosa. Dejat Space at left back. Markey and John Stones retain the central defense. Then in midfield, you have Elliot Anderson, you have Jude Bellingham, you have maybe Eze staying on the left, Morgan Rogers in the 10 role. Wow. Let's see how it all works out. If it does work out. Okay, 2019 I was watching then. I stopped because of work. Okay. I think we at one point we all put off by work. No way. I remember off was a strong cross. Jude Bellingham was overly ambitious with that pass. Dejat Space nearly completed the close down on Ojan Neyland. He cleared that one. I was very fortunate to get away with that one. Thomas Tuchel will scream his eyes out to those players after reorganizing his team. Steve Harrington sending all love to Norway, and Vela says Norway do it. Norwegian player youngsters are something. Well, you're saying you stopped watching in 2019. You were watching in 2019, but you stopped of work. That's how I also got out of a digital sports digital media, that because of work. That was at around 2020 COVID time, and the rest is history. England got a chance. For as long as it remains 1-1, everybody has a chance. But Harry Kane has struggled to have an impact on this game. He's been quite pedestrian. Anyway, they've not created that many chances for him, so you can't blame him that much. Morgan Rogers firing up the crowd as England continue to seek that breakthrough. We're into the 3rd minutes of added time, 7 minutes added. We could use a late goal on here. I mean, whoever scores, so be it. I don't know what you. Norway have a player down. In Hegim, after passing that ball out, we throw in. Thomas Tuchel is definitely feeling the heat, definitely feeling the pressure of being at the helm of the Three Lions. What are the expectations of Argentina versus Switzerland? Well, I expect Switzerland to need to be defensively disciplined. But obviously, all the pedigree, all the sort of advantage tilts towards Argentina. I mean, it's always different when you have Messi in your team. And beyond that, maybe Switzerland will be encouraged that Argentina concede goals because in the last two knockout games, they've conceded 4 goals. So that's an encouragement in its own right. You know, that if you have a go at them, you can get the best out of them. But Switzerland will need to stay quite disciplined. Oh, Jude Bellingham. Ah, brush that head sideways. Oh, Hurricane claiming there was a shot pull on him. Some England fans there dressed like the ancient Romans. Come on. Looks like we are headed for extra time unless something happens. I dread extra time. I dread penalties. I dread extra time. Bellingham goal was good. The goal was as good as the assist that came before it. Richie James returning from a hamstring injury that kept him out of action for about a fortnight or so. The Chelsea captain. What was that about? Did he have to pull him? What is he thinking there? He's in control of the ball. You play the back pass to your goalkeeper. Oh, there's nothing in that. Isn't much in that. Thought he had actually pulled him, but his arm swung in space. Is that even an injury? I don't think he's saying it's an injury. The check would be if there was contact there. The referee will be bringing this game to a halt anytime from now. Nyland is good, right? Hasn't been tested that much this evening, to be fair. The referee calls the game to a halt and he sends us into what I dread the most, extra time. Typical Brad Erling Haaland behavior, pedestrian like, all through the game, you know, all through the game. And now Let's see. Let's see what England are capable of producing, or Norway in extra time. But I wouldn't want the game to go to penalties. I'd want more of a natural, you know, the game ending in normal time feels like a natural bath. And whenever it goes to penalties, it feels like a C-section. You know, it feels like a C-section. So, and I hate it. Extra time will be exciting. I'm never excited about extra time. And forgive my personal bias about that. It's entirely, personal for me, because extra time players oftentimes can no longer give their absolute best. It's like oftentimes they play to drag it on, you know. McKenna says, please not penalties. I mean, I'm also hoping that we do not go to penalties. Otherwise, it will be quite horrible. Oh, Jesus Christ. How did I not notice? My battery is about to sort of give up. It's almost giving up. And I hadn't noticed for some reason. I hadn't noticed for some reason. And as unfortunate as that sounds, I need to reorganize. I think we're good. Oh, was it not going to be a nightmare if it had blacked out without my knowledge? Okay, Steve says there's a replacement for Beckham in England. Who is that replacement for Beckham in England? It's even worse when you're England. We always lose them. Always. England do not fancy their chances when it comes to penalties. Now, I don't like penalties, that's for sure. But I do not wish penalties for England, not because they always get them wrong, because of the repercussions that come out of some of their, black players missing penalties. Like once that happens, they're going to get dragged. They're going to be racially abused and discriminated just because somebody missed a penalty, forgetting that Messi has missed already 2 in this tournament against Austria and against Egypt. Hello, Shimi. There are England to win. Oh, Shimi. Shimi joins us from Namibia. Now, Shimi, you're more closer to your ear. Your ear is closer to South Africa than mine is. What caused the death of Jayden Adams? What's the rumor? What's the speculation out there thus far? And may his soul rest in peace. What's happening? So you remember the Euros 2020 that were played in 2021 when England lost out to Italy, and Jordan Sancho, Bukayo Saka, and Marcus Rashford had to be racially abused because they had missed penalties. So I'd want to avoid that sort of situation or scenario. If you don't mind, share with us if you've had anything about the passing of the passing of Jayden Adams, the South African 25-year-old player, passed on yesterday. Very, very unfortunate news, by the way. He was playing for Mamelodi Sundowns. He was born in Cape Town, South Africa. Referee biased towards England. That 55th minute call was undisputed win for Norway. That's from Till Gamer. Really. Now, remember when I said different rules or sets of principles are used for different competitions? Well, that is one of them. And I do suspect if that goal had been in the UEFA Champions League, I wouldn't be surprised if it was ruled out. Why? Because UEFA do not entertain those sorts of shenanigans. During, like whether the ball has been kicked in or not yet, excuse me, they're not willing to take in those shenanigans. So you can see the push on by Brad Erling Haaland on Elliot Anderson. Now, if you want to transpose the same situation and put it in the Premier League or elsewhere, you will find that goal would have been given. But for me, I have no qualms whatsoever having it ruled out on the merits of it. It's just the set of rules that they've set themselves to live by, and they must abide by them. They must abide by them. Anyways, we are back for extra time. Then McKenna responding to Till says, "Oh, come on! It was like a taken move." I hate England and USA, such sore losers. England deserves to lose. That's from Till Gamer. What makes you hate them? What makes you hate England and what makes you hate USA? Jayden Adams was born May 5th, 2001 in Cape Town, South Africa. And he did play as a defensive midfielder, about 5'9". Saka given a do-over, puts in a deep cross, headed back across goal, but nobody there to guide it into the back of the net. England continued to push Saka again. Oh, it's a deep cross. You can feel that sort of drop in energy. Oh, and it's a goal. Jude Bellingham pounces on a loose ball from Ojan Neyland, who was tested from distance. Jude Bellingham pouncing on a loose ball, sort of similar to the goal that Belgium conceded versus Spain. I think it was Nico Williams from distance who tested Seny Lamens as soon as he had come on, or moments after he had come on to replace Thibaut Courtois. And this one does feel similar. Obviously, like any other goal, it's going to be checked. I think it's Morgan Rogers who was testing Neyland from distance, and he sort of fumbles that one in the area. Oh. And it's Jude Bellingham that reacts the quickest to put it in the back of the net. But it was a good, goalkeeper looked to catch it, goes through his arms and bounces off his chest. Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. And then England score. And Thomas Tuchel celebrates on the touchline. Okay, Shimi says the South African authorities have not yet released the cause of death. Okay. Yeah, I know the cause of death has not been released yet, but as a person closer, I thought you had had some grapevine regards to what the speculative nature of the circumstances around his death, uh, are suggesting, because usually um, there's a bit of smoke, and we know where there's a smoke, there's usually a fire. So, in that respect, that's why I was asking. But it's all good. In case you are also waiting to hear from official sources, just as much as we are. But may his soul rest in peace. That's Jayden Adams, the South African football player who has since passed. He did play for Stellenbosch and had spent one campaign with Mamelodi Sundowns. Had 13 caps for South Africa, scored 2 goals. Ah, Deja Space with a mistimed pass, almost miscalculated pass. You could argue, as he attempted to find Judy Bellingham. By the way, as a second best for Judy Bellingham, he did score 2 versus Mexico as England went through 3-2. Somebody out there is going to feel exonerated for words that I criticized. Somebody in is a former female, okay, a female former football player. One of those common figures. I don't know what her name is. Usually has short hair, passes to be from the other aisle. The other group of people that I prefer not to speak about was saying one time on TV that if England do not win the World Cup, she said that if England go to the World Cup without Bellingham and they don't win it, it will be because of Jude Bellingham. I said, come on. He's not even half, he's only half the player Zinedine Zidane was, and he's getting all that huge praise. But anyway, he was taken and he's lived to the bidding or the expectations thus far. England, Argentina will be epic. That's on the anticipation of Shimi saying England are going to advance to the semi-finals. And on the other side, he expects Argentina to get the better of Switzerland for an epic encounter between England and Argentina. So let's see. Now, guys, you remember that period of the golden goal era? This game will be done. England would have won. But because extra time has to go on all the way for an entire 30 minutes, we have to play it on. And we've only played a quarter of that time. Christopher Aja taking a moment to catch his breath. It's that moment in the game where if you can spare a minute to catch your breath, you're definitely going to have to take it. England, not afraid to go in front. Uh-oh, they just space. And it's a penalty for England. Dejat Space fouled in the area. Tapping the referee to pin Kelment. Pointed straight at the spot, at the penalty spot. Without any hesitation whatsoever. Does he dive? Oh, I see what he just did there. That's quite smart. He puts his body across in front of the ball, well knowing that Oscar Bob is going to make contact. The penalty is being checked. I mean, that shouldn't take long. I understand this have them trying to have the scrutiny of it, but that shouldn't take long. Oh, the referee has been summoned to the pitch side monitor to have a second look at it. Let's see whether we agree or disagree. He's in possession of the ball, so he must protect the ball. So in him driving his body across across that of Oscar Bob, it's understandable. Penalty ruled out or cancelled out after a VAR review. It's going to be a subjective decision, but his interpretation of it is that Oscar Bob does not commit a foul. It's because Desert Space puts himself across the defender, and then that entanglement. It's more of Desert Space putting his leg over that of Oscar Bob, you know, to instigate a foul. And to be fair, it's the honest decision. It's the honest decision for we who want football to be fair and all decisions to be spot on. I think that's a fair decision. The question is, will we have the consistency of those kinds of decisions? Because sometimes it's not given here and it's given in the next match, and then you begin wondering or asking yourself which is which. Why the lack of consistency? You know. So basically, that's that. England are claiming there was a handball. I don't know if that claim will still be active if Norway score from here. Oh. 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 Corner kick for Norway. That's a beautiful, beautiful block. Antonio Nusa planning to plant a bender. Oh, goes off his midriff. Antonio Nusa was looking to test Jordan Pickford, but was unsuccessful in his attempt. Deep corner cleared by England. Eze is lazy when it comes to the counter press. Jesus Christ. Oh, Pickford collects. We're into the final minutes of the opening half of extra time. It's been 2 hours and 41 minutes on my clock, and we're still counting. As the World Cup nears its conclusion, it's only left with 1 week, today being the 12th. Remember, the climax will be next Sunday on July 17th, when the final will be played at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Say Eze is a spoiled boy, doesn't want to press. Every team has that player, to be honest. Look at Brad Erling Haaland, how he goes about his game. It's basically pedestrian. So every team often has that one player. Uh-oh. Eze is looking to chip in a decent pass. Could not find the intended targets. 3 minutes of added time in the opening half of extra time. If England were to get the third, that would be quite the statement. Oh. As a judge to have been in an offside position. Martin Odegaard felt let down there when he did not find his intended targets. Bukayo Saka looking for a cracker. Jude Bellingham could not keep it on targets. Jeez, guys, Harry Kane has failed to score a hat-trick. I'll be winning 50K for myself from Viola. You know? The referee calls the game to an interval with England for the first time in this game being ahead. Jude Bellingham has extended his tally to 6 goals in the tournament at attempt from distance for Morgan Rogers that tested Ojan Neland before he fumbled that ball in the area, and then Judy Bellingham pounced. Let me see. Usually you get an extra substitution when the game goes into extra time, but both sides have thus far used 5. Norway are making their own change. Oh, Jørgen Strand Larsson has come on for Brad Erling Haaland, who I thought did not have a sniff in this game. Chances never fell for him, never got created for him. Like I said, during we will reflect much about that incident in the first half, where Alexander Soroth, all he had to do was play simple cuts, a square pass to him, and who knows what would have happened. And that, for me, is usually the difference between exceptional players and good players. Situational analysis, knowing when to do the right thing at the right time. Haaland off. Yes, Haaland is off. Okay, so that may excite some England fans, knowing that John Stones and Marquis have managed to keep Haaland quiet. I sort of feel like fate is setting us up for a revengeful encounter between England and Argentina for that hand of goal in 1986 in Mexico. The second half of extra time. Let's hope Norway do not find the equalizer. Or if they do, that England find the third, or vice versa. If they can't find the equalizer, they can also find the winner, because I dread penalties. I dread penalties. Whichever way it slices, you know, you can even see how Bukayo Saka is running. You can almost tell he's not fully fit. You can almost tell he's not fully fit. It's evident. You know how you run back when you're running backwards. When you're running backwards, there's a certain level of pressure or tension that you put on your Achilles or your heels. So I observed him in that moment, and you could see. Now, here's how you end up playing 90 minutes. You play 45 for Bukayo Saka, you play another 30. That's 75 minutes, of football. Almost the equivalent of a full match. If you cut out 15 minutes for the game, for the time the ball is not on the pitch, literally, Kaisaka is wondering to tap in what he did exactly I just got him penalized. Here they come. Norway looking for that equalizer. Faster they put that ball in the box, the better they will be. Otherwise, off. That had opened up quite well for Norway. For Norway's Patrick Badge, try and have a crack at it. He had been the goal scorer for the ruled out goal. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ah, Kaisaka, that finishing shot was as baby-like as they come. Oh, Ojan Neyland with a double save in quick succession as England look for that third goal. They have created the better chances of extra time. Oh, that's the right pass from Bigford to find Bukayo Saka, and the flag goes up. Oh, I felt odd. They just space tested Neyland, and so did Bukayo Saka right in his chest. England are making their final change of the night, and Jude Bellingham is being withdrawn for Dunban. Dunban had a good cameo versus Mexico as they look to see out that game, having been reduced to a man following the sending off of Jarrell Quenshaw. Shimi says Norway really did good in this World Cup, something to be proud of. Beating one of the best nations in Brazil, really good. Yep. They've done themselves part, but it's not yet over. We still have 10 minutes to go, or at least 9 minutes of this extra time to go. Who knows what happens between now and then? Ooh. Jude Bellingham sat out there trying to catch his breath. Now is when it matters the most, defensively as well as offensively, depending on what side of the bench you sit. Remember that game between Argentina and Switzerland kicks off at 4 a.m. It's as we speak, it's 37 minutes past the hour of 2 a.m. That means 23 minutes to the top of the hour. Decent ball in the box. Norway asking questions. It's a corner kick. It's a corner for Norway. And not giving up just yet. Danban, one of those towering figures in the area, looking to protect Pickford. The rebound fell to Oscar Bob, but he could not keep it on target. There's an England fan out there in the stand with a dummy of a World Cup trophy. Must be singing, "It's coming home. Football is coming home." How is that not a foul on Harry Kane? Felt he was being pulled. Five minutes left to play of extra time. Uh-oh. Here now is the time when the Swahili said dakika zinayoyoma. England mbili, Norway moja. So now opportunity for Norway to put that ball in the box and see what happens. Uh-oh. Pickford stayed down and Christopher Aja protested the call for a foul on Pickford. Not sure it's even a call for a foul. It's simply a call for an injured player in Jordan Pickford staying down after going down. He did appear to clash with his own teammates. Steve Harrington says England have now a chance. Did everyone poll? Well, I don't know if everyone did, but at least 16 polls, 16 votes were cast, and it's been a 50-50 thus far. Oh, It's a bit of a clash. Christopher Aja could not restrain himself, screaming at tapping. The referee Clement Tapping, 44 years of age, born in Orleans, France. Antonio Nusa, England benefit from an offside flag on Antonio Nusa as we enter the final minutes of extra time. Still about a minute and 20 seconds to go. The Norwegians can hardly believe it, although a few of them still believe just maybe that just maybe the God they worship can deliver a miracle. The referee tells Hurricane to get on his feet as a genuine, stay down to say there had been a clash of heads. Eze goes all the way back to Danban. Quite a towering defender, left-footed. John Stones was seeking to try and find Bukayo Saka, but it never fell in place. Desert space, art spaces, art places, Oscar Bob. Sorry, Norway fans, you will not be doing your raw thing. They'll not be doing the canoeing. Oh, Morgan Rogers with the hold-up play now. England, ball goes out. 2 minutes of added time. Brad Erling Haaland stares at the clock. Jude Bellingham hangs in there, waiting for that moment of the final whistle. When you get the opportunity to run onto the pitch and celebrate with your teammates, I hope England do not take the celebrations too far, because they culminated into an injury for Dean Henderson with a broken wrist or arm or something. And now they're left with just Jordan Pickford and James Trafford as their goalkeeping options. Inka Saka passes the ball back and Pickford goes long. "40 seconds left to play. England 2, Norway 1. Is in possession. He overplayed that one and conceded possession. Norway, here they come. The Judge Space defends really well, but Eze was suspect for conceding possession when he didn't need to. As a Norwegian player who stayed down. It's almost time up, and the referee calls the game to an end, and England are through to the semi-finals for the first time since 2018. The march on to the semi-finals Jude Bellingham's brace in this game has sent the Three Lions into the semi-finals of the FIFA World Cup. Sorry, I mean Jordan Henderson, not Dean Henderson. Jordan Henderson is the player that injured his arm during the celebrations. So on they go, Thomas Tuchel. Whatever happens from here on, John Stones is taking off his boots. Probably can't feel his feet anymore. In the heat of Miami, England have done it. Full-time score. England 2, Norway 1. After extra time, the Three Lions have won it. The Three Lions have won it. For the last 3 hours and 6 minutes, 7 minutes, been on the stream. We'll be taking a breather and see whether we'll be able to be back for the Argentina-Switzerland game as the final game of the quarterfinals. Norway will be proud of their performance on the match. Home they return, but they'll be really, really proud of the tournament they've had, knocking out the mighty Brazil, knocking out Ivory Coast, going toe-to-toe with the 1966 champions. I mean, that's impressive. That's remarkable. You've been such wonderful company. For those of you that have been part of us, Shimi, Steve Harrington, Till Gamer, thank you so much. Ash, Viola, McKenna, thank you so much for having been part of the broadcast. Yamkat or Yamkat, I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but in case I'm falling short of the pronunciation, please find it within your heart to forgive me. Then Amelia, Rio Dandy, and every single one of you that made it worthwhile for us. Shimi says, will you stream later? No more Viking nonsense. Looks like Shimi was fed up of the Viking celebrations. And then he asks, will you stream later? Obviously, I cannot guarantee, but like I often say, keep your notifications on. And if I can, I will. You never know what happens in the next 1 hour and 10 minutes. But I'm hoping, against hope, that I'll be back for the stream for the game between Switzerland and Argentina. But I think for that game, even if it means dozing on the stream, I should be back. I should be back. Really, I should be back. McKenna says, you're rowing home. Congratulations, England fans out there. McKenna, Reluctant Gamer, Epic Handle, Daniel Tuton, wherever you are, LFC, who is the other gentleman? Every single one of you out there, the England fans, congratulations upon advancing to the semi-finals of the World Cup. Sarah says, okay, close. Cairo says, goalkeeper gave it away, but they tried. I mean, it is no different from what we saw of Sonny Lomans against Spain yesterday. So, but quite a spirited fight from both teams, and Norway will be really, really proud. Tosha is proving the haters wrong thus far. I mean, every time every time somebody questions Thomas Tuchel, and genuine questions, as they should do, because all coaches get questioned. We all get questioned within our own rights, you know. But it was Harry Redknapp who said some really had a terrible view of Thomas Tuchel. You see, I'm one of those people that respects everybody's opinion. And I always want to give the chance to the other person to have the right to say their mind. There's a famous quote, I do not remember who it is attributed to. Somebody said that I may not agree with you, but I'll do everything it takes to defend your right to say it. Now, Harry Redknapp said Thomas Tuchel is just a German spy who's come to ruin it for them. I don't know if getting England to the semi-finals of the World Cup is what passes you for a spy, then Truco must be one of the best spies there is. Lash Gush says it's coming home. I know. Guys, before you say it's coming home, I often say, first get yourself to the final. And let's see. Now, obviously, because Gary Southgate did guide England to two finals, two consecutive finals of the Euros, and then he guided them to the semi-finals of the 2018 edition of the World Cup, and then subsequently to the quarterfinals of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Thomas Tuchel taking England to the semi-final is not an achievement in a way, but for him as an individual, it's not an achievement for England, but for him as an individual, it's given the sort of level of doubt that there has been in some circles, as we all have sometimes. We all have reservations about certain things because maybe we're not too certain it will work out. But for him, it's an achievement. And he just needs to go that extra step and take England to the final. And then from there on, who knows what happens. But David Beckham out there with his boys watching. I don't know if his daughter accompanied him, the Inter Miami boss. Okay, let's see if we get the ancient for later. England versus Argentina is always tasty. Saran says England will play Argentina. I mean, we are only hoping if that is your wish, because Argentina come up against Switzerland in the final game of the round of of the quarterfinals of the last 8. Skyro says Tuchel is good, but the truth is they are not playing nice or best football. I mean, the Premier League is perceived to be the top league, but they not nice at all, but they win. Now, Cairo, hear me when I say this, and I say it with the utmost respect and good heart and good intentions. When you're playing in a tournament like the World Cup, ordinarily how you play matters less than that you win, because winning is more important at a tournament like this than playing well. When you get to the league football, where you have 38 games to test yourself across 7 to 8 months and get the best possible results, your style of play can be brought into question. And for an example, Real Madrid in 2006 part ways with Fabio Capello for not playing what they deemed to be entertaining football, despite winning the league. I think in the final game in which they won the league, they beat Real Mallorca by 3-1. Jose Antonio Reyes came off the bench and scored a brace in that game. Now, that's okay. That's well within their rights. And we've seen managers getting, sacked for not playing a certain way or an attractive way. But when you get yourself into a tournament game of the World Cup, now look, for example, you play 3 games at the group stages. At the round of 32, round of 16, quarterfinals, that's 6 games. Semi-final is 7, final is 8 if you make it to the final. That's 8 games. Go to the UEFA Champions League. You play 8 games at the league phase now. From there, you play the round of 16. That's if you finish within the top 8. Okay, let's assume you play the playoffs. You have the playoffs where you play 2 games. A round of 16, another 2 games. That's 4. Quarterfinals, that's another 2. Semifinals, that's another 2. That's 8 plus 8, 16. So you play a total of 17 games. If you make it to the final, if you came through the playoffs. If you did not come through the playoffs, you end up playing a total of about 15 games. So in tournaments as such, it matters more that you win than how you play. England now, against Croatia, they played really fancy football, expansive, particularly that second half. They were amazing to watch. Very, very beautiful football. And they won. The next game against Ghana, they did not play well. It was a goalless draw. The game after that, they beat Panama by 2-0. It may not still have been the most fancy team, but they played and won comfortably. Then, what was their next game at the round of 32? I'm trying to remember. Unsurprisingly, I don't remember. But I know that at the round of 16, they knocked out Mexico, So, guys, kindly remind me, who did England play at the round of 32? My mind has, it was DRC Congo, who they beat by 2-1, So, again, they were not at their absolute best. Like, in other words, I'm comfortable to say that the quality of football that England played versus Croatia or match day one, we've never experienced of them again. But their results have taken them to the semifinals. So I wouldn't dwell myself too much on how they play if they keep posting the results. Okay, Sir Ryan, Ian McKenna responding to Sir Ryan says, if they win tonight, breakfast wrap says, I'm crying. Why are you crying? Are you crying because Norway lost, or are you crying because England won? Is it tears of joy or tears of commiserations? Lashku says, Vikings thought England plays like Brazil. McKenna says, England were also Vikings at one point. By the way, Sarayan was, bringing it to my attention that England had played Congo at the round of 32. Thank you so much. Steve Harrington says, so England versus Argentina. It's not a given. It's not a given. But it's not a given, but let's wait and see. That game kicks off in about an hour from now. So, guys, allow me take a breather. Allow me go take a break and, and sort of refreshen up and see to it, charge up, get recharged, and see whether we will be, and see to it that we can be back for the 4 a.m. kickoff game. So, Cairo says, I disagree. France has set the bar from the beginning for the tournament, playing top-class football. England has no creativity, and Tuchel selection was clear if he doesn't win. Now, you cite a very good example in France, playing good football. Did they play that good football versus Paraguay? Paraguay made it difficult for them. They played some ugly football. It wasn't fancy, because Paraguay made it as such. Then, what's the other game? They beat Senegal by 3-1. Go back and reflect on that opening half and tell me if you still have the same thought about France, So, yes, France are good. And when you measure their attacking forward, the attacking lines, they have better quality in there compared to England. That's also a significant difference. Okay, let's ask ourselves. You have Kylian Mbappe leading the lines for France. You have Michael Olise following in behind. You have the current Ballon d'Or winner in Ousmane Dembele on one side, a Desile Doué or a Bradley Barcola in there. How many England forwards get into that French forward? I suspect it's only one, in my humble opinion. If you differ, I respect that. I'll take only Harry Kane and play Harry Kane centrally and push Kylian Mbappe to the left wing. And that means I'll drop a Desile Doué or a Bradley Barcola. So that difference in quality speaks to that. But then also, let's not forget, Didier Deschamps has been with that French national team since 2012. When did Thomas Tuchel assume the reins at the England national team? Was it last year? I stand to be corrected. Was it last year? Or slightly before? I mean, Sir Gareth Southgate leaves after the Euros 2024, around that period. So you're comparing two countries for whom Thomas Tuchel has been there, barely 2 years, and then, or almost 2 years, and then you're comparing him to Didier Deschamps, who's been there for the last, 12 years. really. So, and then we've spoken about the differences in quality of those forward players. So who is England is Michael Olise. You do not have that type of player. It's the honest bit. I also understand your reservations about the lack of creativity from this England national side. But as much as I share your opinion that they lack a bit more creativity, they are scoring the goals. They've scored 2 today, and they were both open play goals. So how do you play? How do you score open goals without creating? Against Mexico, only one was the penalty. So again, 2 goals from open play, that's creativity. Versus DRC Congo, 2 goals from open play, that's creativity. Versus Croatia, all 4 goals, weren't all the 4 goals from open play? Correct me if I'm wrong, in case I've mixed things up. Against Panama, both goals were from open play. Okay, one was from a set piece. You could argue, So their creativity is not as good as that of France, but it's not that it's non-existent. At least there's something. So that's how I would look at it. And I could be wrong, and you could be right. Depending on who is judging us. Depending on who is judging us. I'm not the I'm not the omega of opinion in this particular case. I mean to say. Okay. See you. Cairo says we are winning though. That's from McKenna responding to Cairo. Taken Move says, why are social media now so quiet when they saw 3 Portuguese for Argentina versus Switzerland? Why are they so quiet? I don't know. Okay. How can you say it's rigged when you are 2-0? That's your own fault, right? I didn't catch that. Are you asking how can it be rigged if you find yourself 2-0 up? Guys, okay. Let me be the devil's advocate in this particular case. You being 2-0 up, if the game is supposed to be rigged, it doesn't mean that if the game is rigged for one side, that the other side can never score in that game. Because if they score a genuine goal, how are you going to rule it out? The other example I can give you is for example, take this assumption. Assuming you're a referee and somebody paid you to cheat for a particular team, let's say Team X. Team X is playing Team Y, and you are paid to cheat for, let's say, Team X. Assuming, these are just assumptions. But then you start officiating the game, and Team X keeps on scoring in the back of their own net. They keep scoring on their own goals. How are you then supposed to cheat for them if they cannot even help themselves to get to the final third of the other end and create a moment? So in a rigged system, and I'm not saying it is a rigged system, I'm not one of those that believe I don't believe the game is scripted. But I do respect those that make the argument that it is rigged based on the evidences that they present. So you must, even in a rigged system, it's not perfect. The other example I can give you is that imagine you're a teacher and you have a class of 10 students, some very bright, others not so bright, and some that are not as bright. And then you have a national exam, and somehow you persuade yourself into cheating for them that exam. Do you think they will all get the same marks? No. Why? Because probably the bright ones remembered all the answers that you gave them. But those that are not so bright may not remember all the answers. They may remember some. And therefore, you'll find still a mismatch in marks. They may pass, some may excel, and like that. So that's where I'm coming from with that. Okay, but I hope we are at par. Taken move. I hope that responds to you. Sarayan says Kante and Chucky didn't play a game yet. Chucky has been coming on and playing. Kante, I've not yet seen him play. I'm still yet to see French defend. They play offensive football. One of the best ways of defending is by attacking, because if you're constantly attacking your opponents, then you're not going to have much time defending. So look at it in that sort of principle. But then also, they've had to defend. And whenever they've had to defend, they've defended well. It's just that you oftentimes see them on the offensive more than on the defensive, but they've had to defend. And they've done themselves well thus far. Then Cairo says, please take a break so we can meet at 3 a.m. for Argentina match. You are the one keeping me here for another extra 8 minutes. Otherwise, thank you so much, Cairo, for your submissions. I love it when people challenge me with divergent views and I give more of my opinions. Otherwise, without your submissions, I may not get the opportunity to bring out all my opinions in full breadth. So I do appreciate your contributions to the discussion and to the engagement more than you think. And I encourage you or implore you to keep that up for the foreseeable future. Otherwise, it's been 3 hours and 28 minutes thus far. Allow me to call it a wrap. Stay blessed for now. Let's catch up in about 40 minutes or so, depending on how God permits. Bye-bye for now.